is a wonderful thing to aspire to in our congregation, in our relationships, in our job descriptions. And it's really part of building good, healthy relationships. If we have clarity, you start maybe with your document, because those are things that you have control over, where you don't have so much control over people's emotions and relationships. But a good contract, if you're a professional religious educator and you operate with a contract, make sure that contract is clear to you, and it covers the points that you wanted to cover. And the thing, my first career was with the federal government. I was a contract negotiator, and sometimes in conversations I'll hear people say, "That's non-negotiable," and I can tell you, my 13-year career, anything is negotiable, and everything is negotiable. So if there are things in your contract that are unclear, you need to hold the leadership accountable for providing clarity for you so that you can be successful. Program assessment and evaluation. Job description. And you know what? It's really great if we have job descriptions for both the professional and the volunteer leaders. I know this is a message we've been talking about for a while in religious education, but providing a volunteer with a short, half a page, just a short list of duties and tasks can really be a great recruiting tool, because people can say, okay, I can fit this into my life. I have the skills. I feel good. I feel confident about entering into this, rather than recruiting people to come be on the committee, join our family, come be a part of this fun thing that we do once a month on a Wednesday night. We have wine and cheese, and that's great, but it's not clear. It's not clear to people what their responsibilities are, and that can lead down a road you don't necessarily want to go. When you're talking about tasks, and we'll talk a little bit about delegation later, clarity just in who's doing what when. Be responsible about taking notes in meetings. Make sure that you have somebody doing that work of capturing action items and capturing who's doing what and when. And your volunteer teachers, they have to have a little job description as well. They're not really part of this conversation, but that idea that there's clarity in who's doing what should extend to all of the volunteers as part of good volunteer managed practice. Rotation system for lay leaders, and I know some of you are from relatively small congregations, and this is problematic. But it is wonderful if you can build into your system, into your process, the idea that all volunteers get a sabbatical, and that becomes kind of part of how you do business over time, because we all need a break, and that break can be so enlivening and refreshing. It can help us change our perspective. It can help us re-engage with our passion. It can really help us kind of reconnect with our creative side. And teachers and committee members who take a sabbatical will become better committee members for it. So I highly recommend that. Another piece of building good relationships in the congregation is to have good relationships with beyond the RE committee and the DRE, to be connected to the whole. And you can do that by being in relationship with the board. And that's problematic because in some congregations, the board, the minister is the executive and the minister is the only one. I don't go to board meetings. That doesn't mean that the board that you can't be in relationship with them. you can attend a board meeting and just ask for 5 minutes on their agenda once every couple of months, just to say, these are the great things that are happening, and I, thank you for your support, and thank you for the resources that you have provided for us to do this great work. So you should, if you're a religious educator, and RE committee as well, should be creating relationships, building good relationships beyond just the RE committee. And most importantly, the support of the minister in a congregation. It's, I think, all but one or maybe two of you have a minister, and that's just a key relationship. You need to be in good, right relationship with the minister, and those relationships can run the gamut as well. Sometimes, there's role confusion. Sometimes you are doing pastoral care, and that's not really your responsibility. You both have some fuzzy responsibilities around worship, perhaps. But having the support of the minister for the work that you're doing can really be important to the success of the overall program. And that's part of sharing the ministry. That's part of shared leadership, in a sense. So the shared leadership that you're focusing on is RE committee and DRE, but never, don't forget that it should be more broad. One piece of good relationship and hopefully keeping good, healthy relationship is understanding our expectations of one another. And this is the source of more woe than than anything else I can think of. Expectations usually come in a couple of different flavors. One is the explicit, which is, these are the things that I expect of you because this is what's in your job description, this is what's in your volunteer job description, or these are the agreements that we made at our last meeting. These things are written down, or they're clearly communicated in a way that's very explicit, and both parties really understand who's doing what, and we have a good, clear understanding of what our role is around a particular task. The other one is the implicit expectation, which is not so clear, generally not written down, but it's those things that we just expect because maybe we've always done them that way. You didn't bring the pumpkin bread? Well, the last DRE always used to bring the pumpkin bread. And I used to have to bring the pumpkin bread, which is why that story came into my head. So implicit is, it's kind of more clearly understood by one party than another. And perhaps that one party who has the implicit expectation doesn't even really realize that it's sort of mythical, perhaps, or based on history that they may not even have been around for, by the way. So, and then the third kind of expectation is that magical thinking, and we all engage in a little bit of that. But when it enters into our professional lay leader relationship, it can be very damaging. We hired you to grow the program, and the program's not growing. Well, growing the program is not part of the job description. It shouldn't be, because that's not something that's in the control of a religious educator. So for someone else to have that expectation is really above and beyond. It's unrealistic. So we have to really be clear about sort of what our expectations are of others. And, if we're explicit and if we work towards clarity, then we can be down on that end of the spectrum. If we're very vague, if we go to a meeting and say, we're going to be having this event, and we don't really care, what the decorations are like. It's okay. You just get whatever you want. And then somebody shows up with something that you don't like. So those things happen. That's just a tiny example, but that can happen with larger issues. So much clarity as we can get around expectations helps us to build a solid partnership.